The Beast is the world's longest wooden roller coaster. But so far, my recreation doesn't quite live up to the title yet. So let's change that. I'll be completely finishing the rest of the Beast layout, starting with the winding drop out of the cover straight track section, as well as building trim brakes to better control the speed of the train. Before I built anything, I put down some planning supports. I had to make sure that the angles of the next few elements were as accurate to how it looks in real life. I used an image from Google Earth to help me plan out where each support will go. The first element I'm going to build is a gradual descent into a drop. After fixing all the layout problems from last video, this section of the ride is much lower to the ground than previously planned, so I see the train going way too fast through this section in the future. Coming out of that shedded portion of track, the train goes into a gradual downwards right-hand turn into a long drawn-out drop. All the elements coming after the shed portion is where the Beast ride experience really starts to change, especially for night rides. This part of the ride gives you an uneasy feeling since it's the part that's furthest into the woods. It's also very disorienting, as you can't see much because the forest that the Beast was built in blocks your view of what's ahead. Since this part of track is so far away from the rest of the park, you get a heavy feeling of being isolated, with the only other company being the other riders in the train. The Beast is really special to me because it delivers fear to the riders in a different way than other coasters. The fear factor for most roller coasters are big drops and fast-paced elements, stuff like that. But the Beast takes a different approach. Its really high intensity and its unique environment delivers feelings that you may have never felt before on a roller coaster. I know the feelings kind of wore off on me since I've ridden the Beast so much, but for new riders, you will be surprised by your experience on the Beast. I think that's why the Beast is so polarizing, because it delivers in much different ways than most coasters. I was actually once a Beast hater, but I learned to love it, and now it's one of, if not my favorite coaster in the whole park. The train is having some speed problems. It's going really fast through the first part of the layout, but it doesn't seem to be able to make it past that one hill. I added on to this element because I wanted the hill to be more pronounced, so I'm just going to lower it to where I had it before when planning. This is one of the scariest parts on the actual ride, because you take these turns at really high speeds, and with the bonus of the Beast being really old, it feels like the train is going to come directly off the rails. And at night, you take these turns in the pitch black darkness, so it's always a surprise when they come up. Off camera, I got all the cars painted. I'm so happy with how they came out. They look exactly like the trains on the Beast. So let's test out the layout we have so far with the completely painted trains. From here, the train does one final turn into straight track and then into the Beast's second lift. Something I haven't touched upon yet is the Beast night rides. When it turns night, the Beast becomes a totally different roller coaster. The best way I can describe it is that it feels like you're physically in a horror movie. The darkness really intensifies all the feelings that come with the Beast and is genuinely terrifying. I still remember going on the Beast at night for the first time. Now that the second lift is done, let's do a full test of the first half of the Beast. This part of constructing the Beast was by far my favorite, because this is when I built the Beast's final Helix. The final Helix in real life is, in my opinion, the best element on any coaster, and it served as like the grand finale of the whole ride. This is like the main highlight of the Beast as well, and I'm really excited to be finally working on it. This element alone is what made me love the Beast, and what inspired me to build the Beast out of CDX. I ran out of the banked pieces, so instead I'm going to use these adjustable hinge pieces to act as the bank of the Helix. I'm getting a little worried about clearance and how tall the Helix is getting, so we'll have to see how the train reacts during the test runs. The supports for the Helix are complete, so now I'm going to prep the Helix for some track work. I'm going to make sure that the cross ties are angled in on the hinge pieces, so I hopefully can get a bank when I put the rails on. I put the rails on for the main drop and the bottom half of the Helix. I want to do another test run to make sure the train can make it to the top half, as well as to make sure there's enough clearance for the train to enter the Helix in the first place. There's also this weird divot here in the drop, so I'm going to quickly fix that as well. So here's the first test of what I have so far of the final half of the beast. Good thing I tested it before finishing the Helix, or all of the riders' heads would have sadly gotten chopped off. So I quickly fixed that problem and gave it another test. I'm going to fix this clearance problem as well by lifting it up a little bit. After making sure the clearance was alright, I went ahead and built the top half of the Helix. I also put in some more beams to support these flimsy looking sections back here. But it looks like I didn't really do a really good job because it kind of ripped itself apart. So I need to go in and add even more supports, as well as finish the track work. The track work for the final Helix is now complete. Let's give it another test. Maybe I should weigh it down? That also failed. Slowing down the footage, it doesn't seem that the final Helix is like over flexing or anything. So that means I just need to go back in and lower the track a bit. I'm going to take some time and lower this upper half a little bit. I need to watch out for these side portions because the clearance is already really tight. After making some fixes, this is what I got. I noticed on this front section of the Helix that there's a lot of space where the track can definitely be lowered and still have enough room in the tunnel for the train to fit. I want to do this because the scale of the Helix seems a little off. It seems a little big when compared to how it actually looks in real life. So I went back in and lowered it even more. Even though this fix isn't really necessary, I think it's a really good thing I did it because the train is going much faster over the top half of the Helix, which is realistic to how it is on the actual ride. With the final Helix complete, the layout just goes straight back to the first drop and into the brakes. This section of the beast does a little dip going underneath that drop into the Helix, and then it rolls by the first drop where you can wave to the other train as they crest the first lift hill. The Helix really eats up a lot of the train's speed, so you're actually going pretty slow as you go into the brakes. But I kind of like it because it's kind of like the resolution of the ride after coming straight out of the most intense element the ride has to offer. Finally, I built the brake run, which used up the rest of my track. I was literally like 6 inches off from completing the full circuit. With all the track work done, there's one more problem to address. My roller coaster's train is going way too fast through the layout, and I want the train to be somewhat realistic to how it is in real life. I need to slow down the train just enough so it can make this part of the ride right here. So this doohickey right here are trim brakes. This is the first time I have ever attempted to make these on my channel, so hopefully I get it right. Basically, this spring pushes against the pad, which pushes against the train, slowing it down. I'm going to be putting this on the first drop, which is realistic to how it is in real life, since there are trim brakes right after you crest the first lift. And the first test, it seems the trims are too strong. Not only did one of the rows get flung off the train, but it also didn't even make the first element. By lowering the trims a little bit, it'll hopefully give the train a little more room, so it's not getting brushed up against as much as it did last test. So here's test 2 of the trims. That test was much better, so I'm going to go ahead and lock the trims directly into the lift structure. So with the reduced speed from the trims, this is how the train runs through the first half of the layout. And the train speed is definitely getting affected by the trim brakes. So I call that not only a success, but also marks that the beast track work is finally complete. So without further ado, let's do a test of the beast full layout. Don't worry, I have so much more planned for this coaster, so you'll definitely be seeing more of it soon. Thanks for watching.